Welcome back everyone. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make stopped dados on the miter saw. By that I mean the sliding compound miter saw, not the regular chopped miter saw. I did a video about just over a year ago on how to make perfect dados on the miter saw. You can check it out in the description below. You will need to follow that method, but then there's an extra jig that we're going to add today so you can make your stopped dados consistent all the way through. So with that, let's get to it. First thing you need is a sliding compound miter saw. Now this is a Makita. Watch out, it squeaks. I actually have to oil that. Anyway, this is only about 4 years old. It does not have a locking feature other than I can turn this knob here. So when I engage this knob here, the whole saw locks in place and the only direction it can go is down. Just like a regular chop saw or miter saw with no sliding feature. That's not going to be useful for me if I'm trying to do stopped dados. So the stopped dados will go across and then stop at some point in my board. And then I will just move on and consistently do that. Now some sliding compound miter saws may have a stopping ring or something. Like I said, this one is only about 4 years old, but it doesn't have anything, at least in the box, it didn't have any hardware for clamping onto the bar here and stopping it. That is actually what I need. So engineers, if you're listening and you work for one of these tool companies, I just gave you a freebie. If you haven't already invented it, we need some kind of a stop collar because that will allow us to do stopped dados. This clamp, which comes with pretty much every miter saw, whether it's a sliding variety or just a regular chop saw, is there to hold down your work. I don't see a lot of people using them. I don't use mine a whole lot. From time to time I will, if I'm setting up jigs or doing a stop block on one end and doing repeatable cuts. But that is what this is for, and it fits. So even with my new miter saw insert, this still actually will work. I can use it as a clamping mechanism, lock it in place, lock it back here, and set everything up. That doesn't help me to do stop dados. But if we come to the other side of the saw, you'll see there's the same holes right here. There's actually two of them. There's one here and one here. So what we're going to do, we're just going to remove this clamp, and all I need is the post. This insert will make it a little nicer to cut on, but it is not essential. The other thing you're going to need is a block of wood. This is just a piece of 2x4 I use for drill testing sometimes, but it's really just a piece of scrap that's been laying around. This will work beautifully. So we're going over to the drill press. We're going to use a Forstner bit that is at least close to the diameter of this post that came with the miter saw clamp. So now we put the post back in. We lock the post in place, and then I take my block, just slip it over top. Now, when the saw travels, it will stop at the block. That's it. That's as far as it can go. Yes, because the hole is a bit loose, the block moves. Once the block reaches its maximum, that's it. If you're really worried about this block moving, then get the proper drill bit for it. I don't have the right diameter in the shop right now. But the other thing you can do is just wrap some electrician's tape around the post if you want, and you can stop it up that way and keep it from moving. Personally, it doesn't matter to me because it will stop once it reaches its maximum distance. That's it. It can't go any further. Now, if you need a greater stopping distance, like if you're trying to get it to stop halfway through a board or whatever, you can increase the thickness of this and it'll just stop sooner. But the motor is always going to stop. And this block is in exactly the same spot as the brush on the motor. So this flat part where the brush is will always hit the block, and that'll be it. And of course, the second thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to set the depth. You're going to need to adjust the screw for the desired depth that you want to go with your dados. Engage the tab on the left side of my miter saw. That is my depth stop. So that prevents the blade from going to full depth. I look at the side of the board and see where I'm at. Usually about a quarter turn at a time with the screw. So almost a third of the way through. So that's pretty much it. Very easy, very easy to do dados this way. You don't have to get on the crosscut sled on the table saw. You can do it right here on your miter saw. I personally find it easier and somewhat safer to do it this way because the method on the table saw involves having to do a plunge cut over the blade, which for me personally, and again, this is just me personally, I'm not comfortable with plunging onto a dado stack or onto an open blade, even if it's only raised, you know, 1/8 of an inch. And my preferred method is to plunge the tool onto the workpiece, not the other way around. Same thing with routers. I don't like to do it that way either. I don't like to plunge things onto the router table. I personally find that a level of risk that is not really worth it when you can do it right here on the miter saw. So yes, you will get this sloped section going up because of the blade, obviously. So where the blade stops, you'll get this sloped section. There is a way to mitigate that. One way is to chisel it down square. If you want to do that, from here you can take a chisel and knock it down till it's even with the rest of the dado. Or another way that I've done it is I will cut the ends of the adjoining parts so that the angle matches the angle at the end of this cut. So that's it. It just stops in there like that if you can cut it at the right angle. Sometimes I'll do that on the table saw though. So that'll save you some chiseling. If you've got a taper jig on the table saw, it might be better to do it on the taper jig. It only has to match more or less the angle on your dado so that when it tapers off, it stops in the right spot. And so that's what I get. Whether this is meant for the underside of a table or a shelving unit, or you're making a bookcase, it doesn't matter what you're using the stop dados for. This is a great way to do them quickly and consistently, and in my opinion, a little safer than doing it on the table saw. If you would like to help me continue to make and edit these videos, head on over to my donation page right over here. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. There are a couple more videos on this side you can watch. Until next time, thanks for watching, and have a great day.